let's take your base case of kind of we end up somewhere around 2%, and then they kind of chill out a little bit. Bitcoin today is trading somewhere around $32,500, $33,000. And I'll use Bitcoin as a proxy for the crypto market overall. When you think about that base case, how do you balance in your head macro impact on crypto prices with what I'll call more of the like micro market structure of crypto? And so using Bitcoin as the example, we know realized price is somewhere $24,000, $25,000. We know that, 65% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in a year, but we also know that the Fed is, basically trying to nuke asset prices. And so like when you're evaluating what could happen, and it's all probabilistic, but like how much emphasis do you put on macro and Fed activity versus, Bitcoin or crypto people are crazy, they're holding these assets, there is no price at which they'll sell, and like there's some safety there? Like, how do you balance those?
Yeah, we definitely look at both in our investment process, and we look at I'd say the crypto micro market structure from a pretty quantitative perspective, and then we have a more kind of qualitative overlay that incorporates both kind of crypto qualitative, fundamental, news flow type of stuff, and also macro. And macro is major league in the driver's seat right now. I think the first chart you put up about how tightly Bitcoin's correlated to the NASDAQ proves that point. I don't see a reason why over the immediate term that Bitcoin would, or crypto broadly, would be able to decouple from macro. It's all one trade. That's as locked in now as it ever has been. I do think that when Bitcoin's 50% off of its recent high, like it is right now, I do think you get into a situation where, the supply demand imbalance in terms of the people, the market participants that are willing to sell Bitcoin more than 50% off of the top relative to the market participants that are willing to dollar cost average buying Bitcoin 50+% off of the top, that imbalance does start to swing, much more heavily in favor of the buyers. And we're very clearly in that zone right now. We're coming up on a spot that's pretty important. We're a couple $1,000s below current prices, the late July 2021 lows that Bitcoin held. If we were to lose that level, which would happen with a backdrop of even more stress in traditional markets than we're seeing right now, some of those stress points that I was just talking about a second ago, I think it could get pretty gappy to the downside if we lose that 29, 30K level. And you could see a lot of spot Bitcoin change hands down there in the kind of mid 20s range for Bitcoin. And that's usually the type of capitulatory price action that marks cyclical bottoms. And, I think there's a decent chance we could see that in, coming up. But those would be, generational buying opportunities. That's like, you're buying for your kids' kids at $24,000 Bitcoin. And so one of the things that makes this setup different than prior setups is that the cat is out of the bag in terms of what asset class you want to own when the Fed eventually slows down on tightening or goes on pause, and then eventually sort of goes back to a looser monetary policy. That's very different than the 18, 19 bear market, when the vast majority of institutional capital wasn't involved in this at all and didn't have any idea how to think about this asset class. I think that makes for just a very different backdrop. The cat's out of the bag. Like when the Fed goes on pause, there's nothing on planet Earth that's going to move faster off of the bottom than crypto. I'm highly convicted of that. I think a lot of smart money is highly convicted of that. And this tightening phase that the Fed is in, everybody knows that this is a pit stop. until you go on pause and then eventually cut rates again. And so all of that combines into like a pretty interesting situation where, yeah, stocks are nuking right now, traditional's nuking right now, crypto's nuking right now. But if you're not a forced seller, this is a terrible time to be selling crypto, to be selling Bitcoin. And if you got cash on the sidelines, you're setting up for like an incredible buying opportunity.
So it's fascinating to kind of hear you talk through this.
Not financial advice.
Of course, not financial advice. Nothing on this show is financial advice. Entertainment purposes only.